I managed to speak to Tina Weymouth on the phone before they came out to Australia.
The process in which we wrote the first two records. They were all different, of course, you know. Some of them, a few of them came full, you know, almost full-blown with just, you know, a very conventional treatment required, and, you know, the bass player does what the bass player should normally do here, and the drummer does what the drummer should normally do, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But with most of the songs, what would happen is that they, well, we all are of a fairly experimental frame of mind, and we try different working processes. And in those two records, we didn't do any jamming or anything like that, but we encouraged David, since he was doing singing, really having to, you know, go through all the emotional stress, you know.
Right.
We encouraged him to really come out with his viewpoint and a very conceived direction. And then he would bring to the band a sketch, let's say, and then the band would make that into a painting. He would have a very loose sort of idea, well, I'm doing this in the genre of Al Green, or I'm doing, which was Happy Day, or I'd like to do this in the genre of Alice Cooper or Alfred Hitchcock, which is Psycho Killer, things like that. Or Pulled Up, which was a very rock, well, blues rock chord structure. We decided, well, let's do a pop rock song that's really positive. And then, you know, everybody had to work really, really hard on those things, you know, because when you have a good idea, you don't want to be lazy about it and just do the first thing that comes into your head. Right. You want to make sure that you've worked everything out really meticulously to be sure that everything works with everything else. Nothing is there uselessly, that everything is fulfilling a different function, you know. You don't want to get too precious about it, on the other hand, and get real picky. You have to be able to say, well, look, you know, this is not working, so let's just throw this out. This last record that we're just finishing up right now, which won't be out in your country for a while, a couple of months, is it's different because when we wrote the songs on most of the first two albums, we were a band together for 2 years before we were on a record company label, and we weren't doing very much touring, so we had a lot of time to spend rehearsing and writing at home. And I'm sure you've talked to a lot of people in music, and it's just about impossible to work when you're on the road because all your energy is directed, all your attention and concentration is on the show, the performance itself, the audience, the people, and you don't think too much about. You may get ideas that you might write down in your little notebook, but it just takes too much hard work and long periods of concentration actually come from moving from day to day. You can't. So in this record, we came back from 7 months, 8 months of touring. We took off for 3 weeks to relax completely, and we came back all fresh. And instead of David coming up with ideas immediately, the whole band worked together. We brainstormed. We jammed, in effect. We all sat down and we just would say, okay, you start something, and then everybody else would add their part and see what would fit. And then we would tape these things on our Sony tape recorder and listen to the tapes afterwards and pick little sections. And David did this quite a bit in determining which sections were going to be good for him to be able to sing to, because he had some ideas about lyrics. And we sort of put it together that way. But each song came out quite differently as a result, and it was a very good way to work. And then Brian introduced us to another technique, which was very, well, to use a loose term, free form. The idea was that you pick a tempo and maybe a chord. Well, actually, the first thing all we did was pick a tempo and a time signature. First, we'd say, okay, this is going to be in 3/4, and nobody would tell anybody what their part was going to be. And you'd say 1, 2, 3, 4, and everybody would start playing their part. And of course, invariably what would happen is nobody would know what they were going to play either, so it would come out quite spontaneously. And I know that he worked this way a lot on David Bowie's album. And it's quite interesting because out of maybe, we did in 1 hour, every 6 minutes we did another song. And I think there's at least 3 that are suitable for basic rhythm tracks, you know, to have other things. You come up with things you would never have thought to do. And it's a real good technique.
And this next thing is a song, a rough mix from our upcoming album. It used to be called Animals, and now I think it's going to be called Think.
Animals from the Fear of Music LP. The album.
Do we know the name of the album yet?
Yeah, it's going to be called Fear of Music.
Yeah. Have you got a date on when it's going to be released?
Not exactly. I think probably early or mid-August, to be realistic, by the time the records get pressed up and everything.
You've designed the cover and everything like that, I take it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a question of okaying the printing and all that sort of thing.
Well, next up we've got a track from The Residents, and You, Yes, 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 by The Residents. Have you seen The Residents play?
No, they don't play.
I was very curious about it.
Met them once, but they wouldn't say, give their real names or
Were they masked?
No, but they wouldn't tell. There was a number of people, and none of them would really say, I'm in The Residents, I play this or that. They just said, hello, my name is H. A few of them had single letters for names. But it was fun, and it was also sort of...
Where was it?
This was in San Francisco.
And how did it happen?
The first time we were in San Francisco, they sent us a telegram saying they liked our records. And so the second time we were there, I sent a telegram to the Cryptic Corporation saying I liked theirs, and I expressed a desire to get in contact with them. So we did, and got together and sort of had dinner, and they invited us to go into a hot tub, but we declined.
Okay. Got anything more to say on The Residents?
No.
Okay, play the track.